So we are back again, and sorry for the disturbance, a technical glitch. And the lesson to be learned is you have to put your iPad equally onto do not disturb mode. Otherwise, even if your mobile phone is on flight mode, but the two devices are synced with each other, this would obviously come in and disturb the broadcast. And the phone was coming time and again on FaceTime, and therefore one had to then reset the thing, and we are back again live. Sorry about that. So therefore, coming back to the National Land Monetization Corporation, in theory, an excellent concept. Instead of each of these central public sector undertakings trying to manage their own surplus, vacant, underutilized land and buildings, you transfer it to this expert, lean, mean body owned 100% by Government of India, and it goes about selling that and extracting the maximum value for government. Of course, the valuation at which you transfer the land of central government to an entity which is owned 100% by central government, that valuation is irrelevant. You can say 1 rupee, 100 rupees, collector rate, whatever, because ultimately that corporation is going to be 100% owned by Government of India. And of course, it is going to be sold off through a competitive open market mechanism, and therefore the value is actually going to be extracted by the sale process, which this expert body would do. Of course, I don't know whether this corporation would be like a company under the Companies Act, or whether it would be a statutory corporation setup, because there could be stamp duty issues which are within the purview of the state. So whenever the central government, if it is transferring land to this new special purpose vehicle, whether stamp duty would be attracted or not, I'm sure these issues would be sorted out, because in any case, the Stamp Act is a central act. Having said that, there are going to be various issues, and I can share my personal experience. In case of Punjab, we had a similar scheme which was initiated by the Sardar Prakash Singh Badal government when they came to power in 1997. And I happened to be the chief administrator of the Punjab Urban Planning and Development Authority, PUDA, at that time. And I came to picture somewhere towards end of 1998. And for two and a half years, I was there as the chief administrator, PUDA. So we had a scheme called OUVGL, Optimal Utilization of Vacant Government Land Scheme, where an old bus stand, an old ITI belonging to whichever department of Government of Punjab would be transferred to PUDA. PUDA would then plan, develop, and sell it through open auction processes. And even for a small state like Punjab, the question of valuation of the reserve price, and then there is question of bylaws, whether you can have residential in an industrial area, whether you are going to have a commercial property coming up in what is an industrial area, and so on and so forth. There are various issues which make this task exceedingly complicated. Are you going to sell off it in chunk? Or if you're going to develop it into pieces, then of course the local building bylaws, how much saleable area would be there, how much of FAR or FSI, which is floor area ratio, floor space index, and so on, would be permitted. Those all issues would then come back and have to be tackled with. Having said that, it is a process which is now going to be replicated effectively at the national level. So imagine a company which is supposed to be lean and mean. Let us assume the National Fertilizers Limited in Bathinda or Nangal Township. They want to sell off their land. So how would they go about this corporation? You first of all need to have that area demarcated, area bayered, the title deeds. And then of course, what are the master plan considerations? Are you going to have the environment impact assessments? Are you going to go through the various procedures which a normal urban development authority goes through? Are you going to have further development taking place? For instance, if you say it's a very valuable commercial land and you want to cut showrooms, So you will have to lay down some basic services in terms of parking, in terms of the access roads, in terms of the sewerage, and so on and so forth. So therefore, this is a very challenging type of a project which the Union Cabinet and Union Council of Ministers has approved today. And it remains to be seen how in implementation it is really going to roll out. So they would have a huge task, firstly, dealing with the various central public sector undertakings and the various ministries. Most of them would not like to part with the land. Of course, this is something driven by the Union Cabinet. This corporation is going to be under the Ministry of Finance. And therefore, those issues have to be sorted out. And once those issues are sorted out, then the theater of action actually goes down into the particular station or the particular state. There, what are you going to use it as? Are you going to put it for commercial use, residential use, institutional use? Whether you're going to sell it off in a chunk, if not, are you going to develop it? Are you going to pump in more money? The government wants money now, and here you are trying to pump in money. So there are various decisions to be taken, and those decisions would have to be tackled by this so-called lean and mean new special purpose vehicle called the National Land Monetization Corporation. So this is all that, friends, that I wanted to talk this evening. Most of the people are keyed and clued towards tomorrow, where the election results would be coming out. But here we wanted to discuss this decision of the Union Cabinet today, the Land Monetization Corporation. In summary, you have a new corporation coming up. The vacant, underutilized, unutilized land, building, properties of central public sector undertakings would go to this corporation, would be transferred to it. It will own and manage and sell and develop, garner money for the central government. And of course, the assumption is that this money, which is attained by selling old assets and family silver, would be utilized for creating fresh, productive infrastructure. It would have a multiplier effect in terms of private investment coming up, more housing stock available, more commercial stock available. It would become an engine for urban development and urbanization. So those are the additional benefits. But how this is going to actually turn out in practice, my personal experience in a very limited scale 2 decades ago will show that it is a very challenging task. And here, of course, the scale of operation, as I said, is much more. Many more public sector undertakings to tackle, many more central ministries, and then, of course, so many states and union territories, which are going to tell you the building bylaws and how much land you can develop and sell. So, friends, it was good to connect, and have a great evening ahead. Bye for now.